one day we were sitting as a group of friends, all medical people, and then we thought, well, how can we make a difference for Mandela Day, do something nice for Mandela Day? And we thought, well, maybe we can actually do something in our own fields this year and then actually contribute to patients by doing something that other people can't do, for instance, surgery. So we got together and then decided, well, this sounds like a great idea, and then decided to put the idea out there and see how many people were interested, and the response was overwhelming. So we started with Operation Healing Hands.
Smolo is a 4-year-old little chappie who came in with symptoms suggestive of raised intracranial pressure. He was vomiting and he was not feeling well. Every time he eats, he vomited. He also had seizures which were not fully controlled by the medication that was given to him. He would fall every now and then and have tonic-clonic seizures. On top of that, he was unable to walk for a 4-year-old child, therefore meaning that he had delayed milestones. After examination and a couple of investigations, especially the CT scan that was done, an assessment of hydrocephalus was made. Hydrocephalus essentially means water in the brain, but for intellect people, it means accumulation of CSF within the CSF spaces of the brain.
So I'd find him, I'd get a call at like 9 at night saying come, and his teeth are clenched and he's shaking and his spit coming out his mouth and they don't know what to do. And we call the ambulance and they take about 4 hours to come. And the kid's nearly dying, so my dad's a vet, so we at least have some medication to help in the meantime. But then we started calling private ambulances, and me and Debbie started splitting the costs for that.
So Debbie is your neighbour?
She's my neighbour, yeah. She's a trauma surgeon. So we started splitting costs for the ambulances because public ones took too long. So it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And then I applied. I heard through Debbie that Dr. Chula offered a program of some sort to help kids and Good Morning Angels, and let me apply and see if maybe I can help this guy with an operation or something.
Government has a big backlog. It's a problem because at the moment, just at Steve Biko Hospital, there is an enormous waiting list for arthroplasty patients. We're talking about more than 500, between 500 and 1,000 patients waiting for surgery. And we need to, as the private sector, we need to lift that load. We need to help the government to actually help these patients. I think we've got an obligation, a social obligation to help the system.
Good Morning Angels organized a good theatre in St. Afrikaans Hospital. We had a professional team of anesthesiologists as well as myself with a well-functional staff of the hospital. An operation called a ventricular peritoneal shunt, which is a form of CSF diversion, meaning diverting that water that we said accumulated into the brain, we diverted into the tummy space. Post-operatively, there were no obvious complications of the operations. His wounds were reviewed while he was in hospital. He healed very well. So within a period of 2 to 3 weeks, Smolo surprised his mother and started walking after the operation.
So Miriam was involved in a traumatic car accident a while back. She broke the one hip and dislocated her right hip. Now, because of this dislocation of the right hip, she got progressively more and more osteoarthritis, which means the cartilage was worn away and the bone was bone on bone, and that gets very painful and it's it gives you a lot of disability. Now, she's quite young. She's only 47 years old and she's a mum. She works as a cleaner at Eugene Marais Hospital and she was really struggling. She was under the care of one of the orthopedic surgeons here already, and when the opportunity presented itself that they may do a hip replacement for her with Healing Hands, they were very happy to help her, and she was ecstatic. One of the most beautiful moments was listening to her interview on Jacaranda FM in the morning, on Good Morning Angels, and she was listening to it with all her friends in the theatre, and as the interview came through on the theatre, the emotion that came through, the disbelief and the absolute grateful joy that she could actually have a life and the prospect of being pain-free was so exciting.
Dit was Garankwa Hospitaal in
En die dokter het gesê, hulle kan niks doen, want hulle moet die heup eers breek, dan kan hulle die been kry, dan kan hulle die ander plek regmaak. Maar dit was seer geweest. Dit was moeilik vir my, want ek het 2 kinders, ek is die single parent, ek kan nie by die huis bly, ek moet werk soek om die kinders te onderhou. En toe een van die dag, die ander suster het my gesien, ek loop so krippel, en die suster vra vir my, Miriam, hoekom loop jy so krippel vandag? Ek sê, nee suster, ek loop altyd so. En die suster het my gevra, het jy medisyne? Toe sê ek vir die suster, ek drink altyd die panados, en ek koop die green papoeier, laat ek net die pijn bietjie stiller maak.
Now, a hip replacement is quite a big thing. It's a big operation which requires a lot of skill, not only from the surgeon but the anaesthetist and the whole team. You have a whole team, the theatre sisters, the rehabilitation team, the radiology department that needs to screen, the bloods and the pathologist. It's a huge team effort with a lot of skill and expertise in all areas. Miriam's operation went incredibly well. After she was discharged, there was a whole rehabilitation team, physios involved, occupational therapists. It's such an incredible team effort. She was discharged after a week after the operation, went about her rehabilitation. 3 months after the operation, she was back at work, mobile, dancing down the passages, and that type of stuff just makes it all worth it. It gives us so much joy, and one wants to carry on. It's beautiful.
No, ek is die nuwe persoon. Ek kan loop soos al die mense. Ek kan lag. My gesig is altyd happy. My lewe het baie verander.
Operation Healing Hands only started last year, so we started small. We launched in July with Mandela Day, and we started in 2 hospitals, Life Groenkloof and Life Eugene Marais Hospital, and from there we went to Zuid-Afrikaans Hospital this year, and we helped 21 patients in total last year, and this year we've helped 4 patients so far. We mainly focus on orthopedics, but we try and help anybody that comes through our doors. So we had some ENT procedures that we did, grommets and adenoid surgery for children of the Bramley and the Abbott Children's Home. We did some surgical cases, some general surgical cases. We operated some babies for inguinal hernias. We had 2 hip replacements, a knee replacement, reverse shoulder replacement. We had some dental procedures done.
I'm very privileged to be part of Healing Hands and the most amazing dynamic team of professionals that are initiating it and running it. It fulfills such an incredible niche and need in our society, and it's making a difference one life at a time. And the rewards are incredible. Being a doctor myself, I think it's natural within us to want to help. And although I'm not one of the specialists, it's just wonderful to be part of something that makes such a difference.
But if you look at the system as well, there's not a lot of facility that offer the services of neurosurgery. Therefore, to be involved in this phenomenal entity, it helps us to help the patients that are in need and the patients that have been waiting for a very, very long time in the public sector.
Doctors always work really hard. So for us to work a little bit harder, they always say if you want something done, give it to a busy person, and doctors are always busy. So for them to do 1 extra patient, really, it has absolutely no effect on them, and they love the fact that they're actually doing something worthwhile, because the problem is a lot of us wanted to help in the government sector, but it's really difficult. The system and you need to have a special post to be able to operate in the government sector, and eventually a lot of doctors want to help, but they just don't have the time or the opportunity. And now this is something that brings the patient to them, and it makes it so worthwhile their time, because they just fall into the system they already have. So it's really easy for them to just take part in this project, because we bring the project to them. They don't have to go somewhere for the project. And like I said, doctors are always busy anyway, so one extra patient really doesn't make a difference to them. And I must say that the amount of positive response we've had with this project and how the doctors enjoyed it, and especially the staff in the hospitals, to be part of something bigger is really exciting.